another day, another Crypt episode. Today we're going to be talking about a distinct one that I found to have some of the most brutal kills in all of Tales from the Crypt franchise. A fun little story on a dark and stormy night where a hitchhiker meets up with a rich man. And let's just say, for a 30-minute episode, this one tells a great story. That's what I love about Tales from the Crypt. They really pack a punch in the time allowed. This one was awesome. Come hang out. What up, y'all? Welcome back to Phantom of the Indie Review. I am your host. Can I please get a ride? My truck broke down. Dill. We are on the journey of 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you think I'm cool, and you're like, man, that bro got swag, I've been wearing the shirt for probably about 10 years. I'm thankful for all the people that been sticking around. I built a little community here of some of the coolest, genuine, most fun people I ever met. If you want to be a part of that, I welcome all. So if any of that sounds fun to you, and if you want to buy 12 oysters for a dinner with a stranger, come hang out with me and give me a subby. This episode stars 80s and 90s heartthrob Brooke Shield and Perry King. And it starts off with a very provocative POV of a girl at a dinner having a conversation with a man. And he don't say much, but he's zoomed in. He's zoomed in on those chesticles, and she's talking, flirting him up. And she's like, "Ooh, boy, we can have some fun tonight." And I'm like, Tales from the Crypt went X-rated. She goes off to the bathroom to freshen up, and as she's on the toilet stall, she is practicing her O's. And I'm like, damn, this hoe is fake. Why you doing boy dirty like that? Like, I can't even say much. Get that bag. But as she is in there, the lights shut off and things get a little suspenseful. And she's like, "I'm in here, someone please turn the light on." Before she can realize anything is too treacherous, the door swings open and she's shrouded by a figure that brutally kills her to death with an axe. And I was like, oh my god, dude. Starting off the episode like that, pretty brutal. Has some great gore, some practical effects. Very scary monsters, but in this specific scene, it was very gritty and very disturbing. To start off a tone like that, you're like, dude, all these characters are in trouble. This is one of the first episodes, too, where the Crypt Keeper slightly altered his voice to have that more iconic one that we know and love. It's like when 50 Cent got shot and his voice changed, so he had that more thuggish accent. But a lot different than that, because Crypt Keeper really settled into his distinct voice. And this is the first horror piece for actor Perry King. And oftentimes throughout Tales of the Crypt, we see axes as the main weapon of choice, and this one is used a lot, like I said, with the intro, but I feel like in this one they use it a lot more realistic and disturbing than other episodes. And then another little fun fact, this one actually debuted on the same day as the film, as a cult classic Tim Burton film, Ed Wood. I'm just reading facts here. So after that brutal kill scene on a dark and stormy night, Roger is driving down the road, clearly by his nice car. The fact that he has a cell phone in there, he's listening to opera. He seems to be a rich, lonely-hearted man. He's driving down the road. He's trying to call his ex up bad. And on her voice machine, she's like, "All right, please leave a message. Unless you're Roger, then please don't at me." And he's like, "Honey girl, please, what did I do wrong? Please, I love you. Just come back to the cabin and we'll resolve this." And you kind of feel bad for the man. You're like, damn, like, he doesn't seem like he's arrogant and egotistical and prickish. Maybe that will unfold more in the episode. And as he's driving down the road, he sees a car broken down and a girl jump out into the road waving down her hands. And this is the introduction of Brooke Shields' character. And I really like her character because she brings a lot of genuine reactions to this scene. Like, the acting is great for a standalone episode, from how angry you can see she is that her car broke down, how disheveled she is, how concerned. She really promotes that. So when he stops and she gets into the car, there's always that stipulation where you don't take rides from strangers. Even if the man seems gentlemanly, he might be up to no good. And she seems a little bit standoffish. He's like, "Hey girl, what's your name?" And she doesn't want to give him too much information, so she glances down at the CD he's listening to, and she's like, "Norma." And he's like, my god, this is a coincidence. Dude, I'm listening to Norma, the Norma Druid Priestess, one of the most iconic fucking operas of all time.
If opera goes away, we're fucked!
And between the two, he seems to be welcoming and genuine and trying to really, make her feel comfortable. And she's very standoffish. She's not really creepy, but he's like looking at her like something's definitely wrong with her. So as they're driving, he stops at a little mom and pop store, and she's like, "Why are we here?" He's like, "I was grabbing dinner anyway. I'm gonna go get oysters." Like, he's trying to flex on the girl, and he walks in, and to my surprise, we get a dope cameo from actor Michael J. Pollard, who, if you remember the iconic introduction scene to House of a Thousand Corpses, I know you do if you've been watching my channel, because that's what I talk about most here. He has a role where he's pretty much the cashier attendant, and it's very similar. His personality, vibe, dialogue was very similar to House of a Thousand Corpses, and it makes me wonder if he's just like that, and Rob Zombie wrote that role for Pollard, or if Rob Zombie saw this episode and he's like, I want that guy in this movie. Either way, even though it's a little minute scene, he's fucking awesome and very nostalgic for me. And the character, he's like, yo, you hear about that killer going around on the loose? And then Roger's like, no, not really. It's like, yeah, he stole a truck too. And then this is where he kind of connects the dots. He's like, I just picked up a hitchhiker in the rain. She could be the killer. And as he's having this conversation with the cashier, she's in the car like stealing quarters and shit, taking like shit out of his fucking dashboard and shit, like hustling him. And then right as she has the inclination to steal the car, he comes back in from the rain with the oysters. He's like, let's get back to the house, Shawty. Shawty, can we go? I fucking love the cola with the Santa Claus on it. A little flat. And let's just say when the episode starts and the Crypt Keeper says, accept a ride now, ask questions later, you know shit's gonna hit the fan. So they get back to the little cabin and they walk in and it's decked out with antiques, treasures, ancient aspects, and she's shocked. She's like, damn, bro, you be making the money moves. And he's like, yeah, sturdy. And yeah. And they do a little conversing. He's like, you can go upstairs, shower. There's some extra clothes from my ex up there. You can wear some, yada yada, bing bang boom. And she's like, okay. And she's getting a little tour of the house. She sees a crazy giant axe on the wall, and he's like, yeah, that axe was actually used to. He had like 15 people during the French Revolution, and each knot on that axe symbolizes the head. She's like, oh, that's really cool. Is that true? And he's like, I don't know. My mom always told me to sell a piece of an artifact with a cool backstory to make it more valuable. So then you're like, ooh, okay. So it's a normal axe. She goes upstairs and she sees instantly when she walks in a pair of underwear on the side of the bed, and she gets raged by this. She's like, what the hell? Dudes are always lying, always gaslighting us. Like, they either cheating on us or cheating on somebody else, like, bout against us. And I'm like, why is she this mad? Like, I get the idea of being mad at that, but like, you just met him. It's not like you were showing any like flirtation. Are you just mad at men in general? And that's when we learn the backstory down at dinner after she puts on a stunning dress and he gives her a nice ancient necklace, that she came to town to find her husband, and she found out that her husband was doing some unlawful things, some cheating stuff. And Roger's like, what'd you do about it? He's like, I know you stole that truck. What'd you do about your husband? And she's like, yeah, I did steal that truck, and let's just say I took care of man's. And you're like, damn, she's the one that axe murdered that dude at the beginning. Because you get a glimpse of the killer. They have long, ragged hair, and their face is covered. You're like, yeah, dude, I wouldn't have suspect Brooke Shields to be a brutal killer, but yes, she did. Roger seems genuine in nature, and he's really, well, genuine enough, but he's definitely trying to, like, get in bed with her. But he's being a gentleman, he's being proper, but she's trying to, like, steal stuff around the house. She's trying to take advantage of him, so she leads him up to the room, starts tying his arms to the bed. You think it's a little risque foreplay, but no, she's just trying to rob him blind, when all of a sudden you hear a scream downstairs of, I know you're up there, you cheating bastard. And Roger starts to panic. He's like, oh, even though he just told this lady that he is single. So he's like, you gotta get out now, and literally kicks her out into the pouring rain off the back deck in nothing but like wrapped up in a blanket. I'm like, dude is a goat for that. And she's listening to the fighting, and she decides to creep back in the house. She's like, no, it's raining. I'm going to get my bag of all the stuff I stole. And as she creeps downstairs, she sees the vault is left open, and she goes to steal from the vault and then accidentally steps on the TV remote. You're like, dude, who cares if she stepped on the TV remote? It's important because as she steps on it, she hears the same conversation of the lady screaming that was said to Roger. And she's like, what the hell? And she looks at the TV, and on the TV, we see a pre-recorded video of Roger dressed up as a woman wearing a wig, reciting these lines. And she's like, what the hell? And as she has that realization that Roger might be delusional, he comes around the corner with an axe, and he's like, well, dirty girls get their comeuppance after all. And he brutally kills her with an axe. So this episode starts with one axe kill and it ends with another one, and you're like, hot damn, that was insane. And then we get the little outro from the Crypt Keeper again, just running his mouth, wearing a fucking electrocutional, like, death row thing on his head, like a fucking thing, till he's like, I'm gonna fucking electrocute myself. It's like, dude, why are you that bored? You just told us a dope story and like you're trying to execute yourself, buddy. Get a grip. But yeah, that was the episode. All around, I found this one to be very fun, fast-paced, a little spooky, had that eerie vibe with the rain, the darkness, the cabin, the lore of the killer on the loose, and the back and forth between not knowing how genuine Roger or the hitchhiker were. Because yeah, obviously you were waiting for Roger to do something suspicious because he was just too nice, but hearing that getting those little bait clicks of the hitchhiker, how she stole the truck, how she was in the rain, how she punish her husband. You're like, dude, she definitely did kill him, or did she not? And I really do think it's one of those cases where she did kill her husband and was on the run and was going to kill Roger next, and he just got to her first. Another iconic moment in Tales from the Crypt where the bad person always gets their comeuppance. I know I say that a lot, but it's the theme. And Pollard in this episode was great. I loved him in this episode. It was just a fun episode. A lot of suspense. The kills, like I said, they're not graphic and fucking disturbing, but the idea of them are brutal. That little foreshadowing of saying how that axe collects heads and he used it while she also killed her husband with an axe. Very poetic. I'm taking requests for any Tales from the Crypt episode, so if you have one specifically, I'm gonna do it. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. Give me a thumber. Hit that ding-a-ling button harassing you, telling you, hey, it's me, I'm here. And I'm gonna say it 1 time for the 1 time and 2 time for the O's. Give me a hell yeah for what? A hell yeah for horror. If any of that sounds fun to you, and if you want to talk vampires, if you want to have a good time during the holidays with your boy, come hang out and give me a 7.